This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
The Hidden Killers Podcast.
With Tony Brueski.
We're talking with Jennifer Coffindaffer, former FBI special agent and Hidden Killers contributor, discussing the latest events surrounding Alec Murdaugh and the Mallory Beach case. This is an odd one, and I'm certainly happy that the Beach family is getting some sort of settlement and restitution for the hell that they've been through. But are the wrong people here paying the price for someone else's crime? Because when you look at this, the convenience store did everything by the book. They checked the ID. It was a valid ID. He looked a lot like his brother. Beyond that, there's not whole lot more that they could legally do to prove that this person was 21 or not without violating someone's civil rights. So part of me feels honestly bad for the Parker's store for having to take care of this. And also kind of upset that there wasn't more that could be taken from the Murdaughs, but there's probably not very much left to take.
Well, exactly right. I mean, the people who should be paying are the Murdochs, but it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, and what isn't gone is spoken for by the attorneys, and it's unattainable. I mean, when you're selling, I think they were selling even socks. When you're selling off everything that was at that Murdaugh house, there's nothing left. So that's number one. Number two, I see your point, and I'm glad you make it. I'm going to argue the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this a very small town area, I think they knew who Paul Murdoch was. I think they know who Buster Murdoch was. I think that this was their convenient store to go to because they knew in the past that they served these kids, that they will accept their identifications. Yes, I saw it on tape where he, flips up the ID and shows it to him. But I think that they were able to prove that truly they knew. I think that's why we saw such a big settlement. We never really got a case.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it anyway, the evidence that was presented on behalf of the Beach family and the others, right? Because the Beaches are getting $15 million and then the other victims are getting $3 million. So all of that money, I don't think would have been settled upon if they didn't have a lot of good information. Who knows how many kids in that area know, oh yeah, that's where you go. That's where you go if you're 15 to get alcohol. So I think this was a huge thing. I think there's no way this convenience store wanted this bad press. Again, this is just my supposition based on the amount and on working cases, right?
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to settle if there were no evidence of that there. I think they had them rock solid and they settled.
And that makes a lot of sense. I know the convenience store even made a comment, or I've heard some comment along the line here with, we don't want to be, marred down by Alec Murdaugh. It's not going to look good in court if it's tried and we're both there together. Let's just settle and try to move on. So I get it in the interest of the business and moving forward. And you make a very good point. I think we all remember that place in our hometown that you knew you could go and get alcohol from when you're underage. And maybe this was that sort of place. And you make another great point of this is a small community. Everyone did know the Murdaughs. So, unless you have someone that's a cashier back there that's brand new to the area and doesn't know anything, which I don't think we know the answer to, the likelihood probably not there. You're right. They probably did have an idea what they were doing. And I would wonder how much of a repercussion that they would be fearing if they, did not sell the alcohol to him from the Murdaugh family, but considering that they had all this power at the time and pretty much whatever they wanted to do went.
Well, I'm sure it's lucrative. If they were running a business where they were basically the go-to place, and I'm just saying this is a possibility, right?
Yeah.
To go get alcohol and really not be scrutinized in terms of your identification. And the other thing is, at least for me, when I saw that the Parkers did make this gesture and did settle in this gigantic amount, it makes me feel better about them. Like, I think they're going to run their business correctly in the future. They tried to do right by this horrible death that really did result in, at least in part, from the alcohol they sold to them. Now, we know they had more alcohol than that, right? We know they had at least a couple of drinks at this other restaurant. I wouldn't doubt that they're suing that restaurant as well. Anyway, it left you with a much more feel-good position in terms of that business owner than it would have been them raking them through the mud on their practices in the past.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast
with Tony Brueski.